Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this fun-filled evening, which is a wonderful play written by Dr. Kaushik Basu, who is present among us here. Thank you. And this is also a fundraiser for our organization IDIA. I am Swati. I'm director of IDIA, and this is my colleague Vineet. He is also director at IDIA. So we just wanted to introduce you a bit about idea behind IDIA. So basically, IDIA was formed when we realized that there are two issues that we saw in legal community, so to say. So on one hand, we recognize that there are various marginalized communities and underprivileged communities which do not have access to law and legal resources, in addition to not having access to legal education. Simultaneously, we saw that the prestigious law schools like NLS, NLU Delhi, NALSA, all of these wonderful institutions that we have in India, slowly the student population was becoming increasingly elitist and was just from certain classes of the society, which I'm sure is something that you see in other areas of education as well increasingly in India. So we thought these two problems are kind of linked. So on one hand, we have these communities who do not have access to law, who has limited access through whatever resources they can get. And on one hand, we have this wonderful legal education which is only being given to certain classes of the society. So we thought, why don't we find a process through which we can get more representation from marginalized and underprivileged communities into legal education, which on one hand will ensure a more diverse legal education because you have experiences of people from different classes when we are studying law, and simultaneously it will ensure that the communities have people from within themselves who are lawyers and who can give them access to legal education, because a lot of time people from these communities who enter law school will go back to help their own communities. So this is what the idea behind IDIA is. We basically go to different communities, tell them about law, legal education, etc. We then select brilliant students who we train for entrance examinations and for entering these law schools, and support and guide them after they enter law school through various mentorship programs, trainings, etc. So what you can do to support IDIA is that there are various ways you can support us. If you can visit our website, you will see that there are many things that you can do, both in terms of time or any partnership, as well as any monetary contribution that you can offer. Even the smallest amount makes a lot of difference. For example, even a small amount such as 100 to 100 rupees can help buy a dictionary and help us teach English better to the students, which is an important requirement.
Another important facet of IDIA is that it's entirely volunteer driven. So all our activities are conducted not by people sitting at the top in some city, but students within the national law universities and other top colleges. So we're very glad that all of you have come here to support us, and you can rest assured that the monetary contributions that you've given to us right before entering will go into a very worthwhile cause. So I hope you enjoy the evening. Thank you so much.
Last but not the least, I really want to thank NLU Delhi and NLU Delhi students for arranging this wonderful event. Sharma Ghosh was directing this play, and I just want to say NLU Delhi has supported us many times, not in terms of just not just in physical or infrastructure support, but also in imbibing the values of increasing diversity within the institution. So thank you guys.
We now request you all to please keep your mobile phones on silent and follow theatre protocol. Thank you.
मैं जिंदगी का साथ निभाता चला गया, हर फिक्र को तुम्हें मैं उड़ाता चला गया, हर फिक्र को तुम्हें मैं उड़ाता। बर्बादियों का सोग मनाना फजूल था बर्बादियों का सोग मनाना फजूल था
Hey, Velma, come on in.
Hi, congratulations. Such fantastic news.
Thank you. It does feel good. Where did you hear about it?
The Vice Chancellor, he announced it earlier at the Director of Courses.
Your coffee.
Please, thanks. By the way, what's up with all this whining music? Should you have something grander to celebrate?
Whining music. Old Hindi film music is the best music in the world. In comparison, Mozart seems pedantic.
What's up? Pedantic? Don't say that in public. I'm sure the IPA will want to take back the prize when they hear you speak like such a total legend. By the way, the prize must have come as a total surprise.
That's a nice put down.
Come on, don't be so cynical. I mean, it's not the most natural thing in the world to happen. Being based in India, still only 40 and getting the annual IPA prize.
Melba, you've come to congratulate me without checking on your facts. I'm only 39.
Oops, what a huge mistake describing a 39-year-old man as 40. I'm sure you'll justify the concern as part of your general frustrated sense for accuracy and perfection.
Ha ha, very funny.
This does give me great pleasure. As a lecturer in philosophy, struggling away with so little success, but with an ability to admire talent that rivals Salieri's, I can only look at you with awe. And I look at myself with pity and wonder if trying to be a philosopher was the right thing for me to do at all.
Don't be so modest, Melba. You're so much more than a lecturer in philosophy. You're an activist, which I'm not. Each of your documentaries has had way more effect on society than all of my rigmarole papers on reason and cognition put together.
Isn't it unfair how we are probably the only profession in the world where we can't say what we do without sounding pompous? The professor of economics can say she is an economist. The professor of physics can say she is a physicist. But only we are to say, I teach philosophy, but never I am a philosopher. Well, I suppose you can, I can't.
You're so self-deprecating. I wish I had half the many talents that you have.
You're so kind. The trouble is, I find kindness in men sexy.
Well, I find women who find kindness in men sexy quite charming.
The response took too long to sound authentic. It is the response of a nervous philosopher trying to get out of a tight spot by saying something clever.
Nonsense. Why should I be nervous?
Bright lights make for safer neighborhood.
Why should I be nervous? I'm in fact almost in love with you.
With no behavioral manifestations of that whatsoever. You're not in love with anyone, dear Siddharth. You're in search of that perfect woman. The tenth, go direct. Just as you search for that perfect idea to craft up that perfect day. And mind you, I am not hard up. There are plenty of eligible bachelors willing to offer me their hand with a drop of a hat. Ali, Zafar, and admittedly with a little bit of work on my part, Aslan. So look at the sacrifice I am willing to make, waiting for you.
You really are in a very modest mood today. I don't think you'll have to work all that hard for poor old Aslam. Secondly, I'd propose to you any day. If I knew you'd say yes. But I know you won't. And I won't be able to bear that.
Okay, I defy you. Go ahead and try.
Ha! No. I refuse to fall into this big trap of humiliation that you're laying down for me. Incidentally, all this talk of sacrifice is crap. It involves what an economist friend of mine from JNU describes as double counting. Except in this case, it is worse. It involves triple counting. You're counting 3 bachelors who will be sacrificed in the event of our getting married. But look at it this way. If you were to marry Zafar, you'd miss out on Aslam and Arun. Or what's his name? Ashok. Actually, it doesn't even matter. Because no matter whom you choose to marry, you miss out on the other 2. Presumably, you'd want to marry the best of them. So what you are missing out on is the best of Aslam, Arun and Zafar. This is what I believe economists describe as opportunity cost.
What's all this economic side?
Actually, the sacrifice is even less. Because with 2/3 of your potential marriage partners, you'll have the Janmabhoomi party goons go ahead and disrupt your marriage. So I think you might have to account for that cost from the benefit.
And now you see from this nerve-wracking talk of trying to go in for an unwanted marriage.
Ah, the eminent Professor Chatterjee.
Congratulations, young man. What you celebrate?
You always are the best choice. The charming Mrs. Chatterjee, please have a seat. And the Vice Chancellor himself.
Well, when I hear such news, I'm proud to be Vice Chancellor of New Delhi University. The World Philosophy Society Award is one of the most important awards in the world of philosophy. And that to come to NDU, what could be better?
Let's not get this out of proportion. There are many awards in the field of philosophy, and this is also given to a philosopher every year. Considering that a philosopher of note does not appear more than once in, say, 30 or 40 odd years, a large percentage of the recipients are not really deserving.
What? You couldn't calculate the percentage?
Oh, by the way, you do know her. She's,
Of course I do. I interviewed her when she came to join NDU. Isn't your name Peach?
It's Melba, actually.
he got the essence of it.
Well, I'm proud of you, young man. Must be quite something to receive the prize of the global, the
International Philosophy Association.
International Philosophy Association. It must be a time of great contemplation for you. I remember when the University of Newcastle upon Tyne conferred upon me the prize for the political studies in Mongolia after the dissolution of the Soviet Union. It was a time of great self-evaluation for me.
Gupta! Come in, come in. It is so good to see you. Listen, you must not buy a garland for me every time you see me. And now that you've bought it, don't crush it against my shirt.
He is always joking with me.
Anyway, let me introduce you to my very good friend, Mr. Suresh Gupta.
Dr. Suresh Gupta, it is not so important, but I've taken 9 years to do my PhD.
I am so sorry. Dr. Suresh Gupta. He takes adult education classes at Rajiv Gandhi University, but at heart, Gupta is a true philosopher. The world's greatest philosophers were not professors of philosophy the way I am. They did other things. Spinoza polished lenses in Amsterdam. Nietzsche was a librarian. Gupta, like these people, is a true philosopher. Not a sham like us professors of philosophy. And I will introduce you to Professor
Srivastava, Vice Chancellor of New Delhi University. I understand, sir, it is not as important as Vice Chancellor of Delhi University, but I'm certain you have equally most challenging job. Also, both of us are hailing from the same place, sir. Benaras. I keep telling Professor Saab, he should definitely come to Benaras. It is India's heritage city.
I was actually quite tempted to do a stopover in Benaras. This coming January, when I go to Calcutta. The new Delhi-Calcutta Express stops at Benaras.
Coming January, mean 2 months from now.
Yes?
I will be in Benaras at that time. You should definitely come to my house. I live very close to the station, hardly 5 minutes. And warm hot food from the Happy Lodge canteen. I live alone, sir. You will have no noise problem and full room for the great philosopher. Really, sir, it will be a great honor for me.
Your offer is very kind, Gupta, and I do feel sort of tempted.
And by then, if some woman is foolish enough to marry me, you will get hot home-cooked food also.
I think you're taking your wife's cooking skills for granted, Gupta. And realistically, I don't think it'll work out this time. I've already booked my tickets, for Calcutta.
Yes, you're going to Calcutta for the International Philosophy Congress.
Yes, I have to give a lecture.
Yes, you're giving plenary lecture there. I know. Even I had applied to the conference people, asking them if I can participate. Very prompt reply. Basically saying very politely, well, not so politely, that my English is not that good. I wrote back to them, is this a conference in spoken English or is this a conference in philosophy? They did not even reply.
But I hear the conference will be a big mela, sir.
Yes.
With speakers coming from all over the world.
Yes, I believe so. Also, do you know Professor
Chaudhary, chairman of the political science department. I am knowing everybody in Delhi. Chaudhary ji and I used to meet down at the YMCA, the ballroom dancing classes for beginners. You got some Chota Mota British University prize also, na?
The University of Newcastle upon Tyne is not Chota at all. And by some rankings, I believe quite close to Oxford.
But nothing as good as the International Philosophy Congress, with headquarters at Harvard.
No, at Stanford.
Chalo, that is also not too bad.
Now I'll introduce you to the ladies. This is June Chaudhary, wife of Professor Chaudhary.
Yes, I am knowing that.
And this is Melba Iyengar.
Melba, Iyengar, Christian Hindu mixture. Chalo, good for Indian unity. But the Janmabhoomi party will not know whether to do namaste to her or to beat her.
It's not right, Gupta ji. The JVP does not beat up people.
What are you saying, sir? Only yesterday, JBP Gundas do danga outside the Dainik Khabar office. Beat up editor Shekhar and don't even let the paper come out.
But that was totally different, Gupta ji. The day before editorial of Shekhar was completely slander, without being able to produce a single shred of evidence. He wrote, JBP believes in violence.
But sir, there is no justification for these gundagati tactics.
Well, if someone wrote an editorial full of lies about me, I would be tempted to use a little force.
But what the editorial said wasn't a lie, was it? The JVP's use of violence proves that it uses violence.
You jolly well have the right to stop the editorial from seeing the light of a day if it tells lie.
But sir, light of day is irrelevant here. This is an evening newspaper.
Well, in retrospect, what the editorial said wasn't a lie. The JVP's use of violence proves that it uses violence. And the fact that they stopped the newspaper from coming out shows that not only do they use violence, but they use it when there is no false criticism of the party.
Not quite a flawless philosophical argument, but all for a good cause.
I have seen you before. Did you attend the conference on foreign policy at the Indian International Center 1 month ago?
Yes, I did.
Yes, now I remember you. You were sitting next to Dr. Jafar Khan. Very good man. More handsome than good, huh? And I'm thinking you know my friend Arun Kapoor also.
That is only Aslam.
Shut up.
What? Anyway, I have one more good news, sir. I am starting a new institute. This institute will be an institute for social sciences and practical philosophy. None of this abstract mathematics and logic.
That's nice. Never waste time being diplomatic.
Diplomat? Diplomat? So as I was saying, sir, this institute,
It's going to be fully multidisciplinary.
fully multidisciplinary, sir. People who know ground Indian social reality will be got to teach. Economists, political scientists, people like you, Professor Srivastava, Professor Chaudhary. Can you make shirt without cloth? Can you make soap without
I can't help you with this one.
without what soap is made of?
Even if the answer to the short question is a yes, to this one it's most definitely a no.
Always talking difficult things, like a true philosopher. But to me, he is just a very good friend. But I need advice from you high achievement people. How do I start a good institute?
I don't know if you can ever run a good institute. But the secret to running a good institute or department, for that matter, can be put in one word. And I'm sure, Mr. Vice Chancellor, you will agree with me that that word is involvement. Because, see, you know what I had to do to bring our political science department up to speed? Well, I was a young man then, and I dare say somewhat gallant. The chairman of the department then was the formidable Professor C.B. Das. Well, he was up to tricks, trying to drive a wedge between the empiricists and theorists But I would have none of that. So I decided to confront the formidable man himself. I went straight to C.B. Das.
Excuse me, sir. Who is this Mr. Vidas?
I don't know who B. Das is. I went to C.B. Das.
Very funny, sir. You don't know who Vidas is, but you go to see Vidas.
Principal, I see nothing funny. We often go to see people whom we do not know, don't we? In fact, without such adventures, our circle of friends would remain rather small. Anyway, in this case, I went to see Das not because I knew who he was, but because I knew what he was up to. The great man, I must say, was quite magnanimous. He told me, why don't you organize a conference to bring the fractious groups together? And till date, even as department chairman myself, I try and keep everyone involved. So every week, a member of my faculty has to initiate a discussion on the topic of his or her choice. They can choose any topic that they want, provided that he or she, of course, takes questions from the floor.
Sir, one more question. How many ladies are you having in your department?
None. All my department personnel are males.
No, because you said he or she. So I'm thinking there are many ladies in your department.
One says he or she because it is shameful to assume that all department personnel are males.
Sir, your dhoti is open.
It's true that not everything is translatable from one language to another. Especially, this frequent lapse on the rear part of dhoti is quite difficult to explain in English. But perhaps one could say a dhoti has come loose. That is not quite right, but conveys the general sense. But to say a dhoti is open is straight wrong. It also brings undue alarm in the listener.
I think the PC is angry with me because my English is not that good.
Your English is just fine. Why do you even need fancy English?
No. Good English is very important. I did not tell you this earlier, but I wrote to the conference people again, asking them that if there is someone whose paper is selected but cannot go there to read the paper, then I can read their paper. Very prompt reply again. Such a contingency is not possible. And even if something like this happens, they need someone with good English. And now the VC is also angry with me.
The VC is not angry at you. He's angry at me because I won a prize. You know, he's a political appointee and he detests criticism of the government in any form. Maybe he just gets nervous about his job security. You know, he tried to censor an article I wrote for the university newsletter. He's a professor of English, but the only time he actually tried to write a novel, the title sort of gave away the lack of originality.
What was the title?
Lady Chatterjee's Brother. Mind you, this was not even a funny book or a parody.
Hey, I didn't know the VC tried to muzzle your voice. I thought he was a decent and nice person.
Human beings are such complex characters, Joe. On one hand, yes, he is a decent, soft-spoken person. It also seems that he does not dance. But who knows? Maybe he goes back home, puts on a hat on his head, puts on some music, and then dances and gyrates quietly to that music. It's actually quite scary how little we know of each other.
Well, I think I leave now.
And I must take your leave too.
And Gupta must also take leave of the great professor.
You can't all just leave at once. My life is lonely enough as it is. Professor Chaudhary, June, you live on campus. What's your hurry?
Well, I'm expecting a phone call from Paris, actually. There's a UNESCO project based there for a few months, and they need somebody for that project.
And who are you going to recommend, sir?
Well, they needed somebody experienced. Well, I think I had a duty to recommend myself.
Very nice.
Hey, you know, I can stay on for a little longer so that you don't have to deal with the sudden exodus.
Well, I leave the front door unlocked.
Banaras, 2 months. Please try.
Definitely.
तुम और रात जवा, नींद किसे अब चैन कहाँ, कुछ तो समझ है भोले सनम, कहती है क्या नजरों की जुबान, साथ हो तुम और रात जवां।
One has a decent Hindi music collection, one can pretty much go without speaking. By the way, thank you so much for staying.
You're welcome. And instead of talking about nobody does an uplifting song, why do you fall in love and make such a goodbye?
I've fallen in love many times, June. But the only time I wanted to get married, the person in question ditched me for another person.
She was 10 years older than you, Siddharth, literally. But honestly, I feel behind all this smart and laughter, you carried it as such a burden of pain.
You know what Aristotle said about marriage? He said he'd recommend it to every man. Because if he got a good wife, he'd be happy. But if he got a nag, he'd turn into a philosopher. Since I'm already a philosopher, and Aristotle cannot be wrong, it seems destined I must marry a nag. Since I knowingly don't want to marry a nag, I think my only option in life is not to get married.
Well, whether you marry or not, I'm just so glad you got the prize. You're so passionate about philosophy, you totally deserve it. You know, a few days ago when someone told me you might get the prize, I prayed to God that you would. See how God listens to me?
That's no hard evidence of God listening to you, because when I heard of the possibility, I prayed as well.
What? An atheist who does not believe in prizes, praying to God to give him one?
I don't not believe in prizes as much as I do not believe in God.
Whatever that means. Since when have you taken to praying?
Actually, it wasn't even a prayer. I just said, God, if you're there and if it's true I'm in the running for this prize, go ahead. Give it to me. I need it to annoy my department chair. If I get it, I will immediately go to the temple and pray. So you see, it was a conditional promise. Actually, I did not even want to make such a promise. It was just one of those moments when you're thinking of something and the thought crosses your head and you say to yourself, don't make this promise, don't make this promise. But then you end up making the promise and you're stuck with it.
And have you, may I ask, been to a temple?
No, because the prize has already been announced. God cannot not take it away from me. And even if he does, my department chair has come to know. So the ultimate purpose has been served.
Siddharth, God is all powerful, you know.
So you mean he's turn back time? Like Christopher Reeve did in Superman. But then God is also all merciful, so I'm not sure he'll want to hurt me.
But you seem to be presuming that his mercy doesn't extend to your department chair.
Well, if he wanted to be merciful to my department chair, he shouldn't have announced the prize. Look, June, an all-merciful, all-powerful being, and the world as it is today, it constitutes a logical impossibility. So, don't make me go out into the long dark night.
Just put on your sandals and walk over to the Plaza Garden itself. No other reason than because promises are meant to be kept. Now I should have to leave, otherwise I would have an irate professor on my hands, especially if there's been a theft in my home by now. Remember, Siddharth, there's nothing wrong in fearing God.
But Swami Vivekananda, the man of God himself, said, there is no sin bigger than fear.
Good night, Siddharth.
I'm not a coward, you know, June.
अभी न जाओ छोड़ कर कि दिल अभी भरा नहीं, अभी न जाओ छोड़ कर अभी तो आई हो बहार बन के छाई हो जरा महक तो ले नजर जरा महक तो ले ये शाम ढल तो ले जरा ये शाम ढल तो ले जरा ये दिल संभल तो ले जरा मैं थोड़ी देर भी तो लूं नशे के घूंट भी तो लूं नशे के
शोभा 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 is anybody home? शोभा
A soft-spoken, decent person he seems. It also seems that he does not dance. But who knows? Perhaps when he's alone, he puts a hat on his head and dances and gyrates wildly to music.
झनक झनक तोरे बाजे पायलिया झनक झनक तोरे बाजे पायलिया प्रीत के गीत सुनाए पायलिया झनक झनक तोरे बाजे पायलिया झनक झनक तोरे बाजे पायलिया प्रीत के गीत जनक जनक तोरे बागे पायलिया
अरे क्या हुआ? इतने जोर से म्यूजिक क्यों चला रहे हो? बड़ों की याद रखिए।
In this office, dearie, there are two rules. The work hours have to be long and the skirt short. I see you've done really well on one of these requirements. We'll have to see how you do on the other. Remember these two rules and you will do really well in this office. Ask Lachu, he will tell you. Obviously, I had to exempt him on the short skirt requirement. But he still has to work long hours. See, I am close to making my first million. And I want to do it within this year.
You know, boss last business made big loss.
Oh, shut up! My last business did make some loss. It was through no fault of mine.
What sort of business was it?
There is only one kind of business in this world. Business of making money. Actually, it was based on some stupid theory. Kavita reading a psychology book. That most people cannot judge their future fears. They always underestimate them. I immediately converted it into a new business plan.
Boss bought a roller coaster for joyride.
I did not buy it. I leased it on a loan from a friend.
Friend? Now I'm not talking to boss anymore.
The novelty of my idea was that there will be no charge for getting on the roller coaster. Each rider just has to show that he has at least 200 in his pocket. Halfway through the ride, when the person was really frightened, he would be given an opportunity to get off if he paid rupees 200. Otherwise, he has to complete the ride.
Boss has very good ideas to cheat people.
There was no cheating involved. We were told about the rules in advance. Actually, it followed from the theory of some Einstein fellow and some economist. Most people will be sure that they will be able to complete the joyride. So obviously, get a joyride free. When they actually got on the ride, they realized that they were more frightened than they had anticipated. Then they were willing to pay rupees 200 just to get off.
Boss is brilliant, huh?
Then what happened?
Kavita did not tell me that these theories were about Americans. Indians are such conjuice. They would rather fall from the roller coaster and die. I lost a lot of money. Don't remind me about that.
You know, another brilliant business boss did. He leased a Mercedes car and keep it.
I did not lease it. I bought it.
Same thing, boss. He keep that Mercedes car outside a 5-star hotel. Any teacher lafanga coming out of a bus or an auto would get into it for rupees 50 and then I would drive him into the hotel.
What a clever idea! I would pay rupees 50 just to get out of a Mercedes anywhere. And to get out of a Mercedes in front of a 5-star hotel, I would any day pay rupees 100. The nasty looks those gatekeepers give when one steps out of an auto.
Ask boss what happened to the business.
What happened?
The hotel gatekeeper soon got to know about the car. This idiot Lachu, he would laugh at any passenger who would get out of it.
And in business, once reputation is spoiled, business is of no good.
Oh, I have made huge profits all the same. The profits were actually from the car. Oh, it was a Ragdi Mercedes with an ambassador engine. I had bought it for nothing.
You know, boss sold that Mercedes car to one of his best friends at its full price. Now that friend is also not talking to boss anymore.
Let us now concentrate on a new business plan.
Ha! Ganga Travels and Tours. GATT.
Yes, that is our new tourism business. I had a much grander name earlier. World Travel Operators. WTO. Someone wrote to me from Geneva saying that I would get into trouble with some other organization called WTO. I tell you, these Westerners treat the name of their organization like their wives. Anyway, I did not want unnecessary trouble. That is why I changed it to GATT, Ganga Travel and Tours. See, this is basically for upmarket tourists from all over the world. Europe, America, Australia. Please excuse me for not including third world countries. If this one fails dearly, you and Lakshu would have a lot of explaining to do. So make sure that this project is a success. In fact, I see we are starting with a crisis this week. Anyway, see, on January 6th, the first group of tourists will arrive. And in 2 days, they'll leave for Benaras by the Delhi-Calcutta Express. But the main trouble is, my tour guide has run away. That is why I am training Lakshu to do that job.
But he doesn't seem to know anything. How will he be a guide?
Don't worry. Lakshu is so good at speaking that no one will be able to understand what he's saying. Lakshu, tell Madhu madam about the Vishwanath temple.
Madam, Vishwanath temple. Vishwanath temple is very important temple in India. Vishwanath temple is very comes on
What did you follow?
Absolutely nothing.
That's exactly it. There is no question on which anybody can say that Lakshu has given a wrong answer. He can answer any question which an American, Australian or a European may ask.
Or a Japanese.
There are no foreigners here. The main problem is I don't have a tour boss who can go with Lakshu. You can't take care of money, day-to-day accounts, do a variety of other jobs that are required to be done on a tour. I I myself cannot go because I have my other business to look after.
I can go as a tour manager.
No. I want you to be here. Look after the office and me. So go on. You have a lot of work to do. I have a brilliant idea. My wife can do it. She's very intelligent. The problem is, she gets to know the kind of tour Lachu is going to do. I wouldn't want to be a party to it. Silly morals, I tell you.
You mean she will not listen to you?
She jolly well will. Lachu, Kavita madam को बुला के ला.
जी. मैडम, कहाँ बुला रहे हैं?
Kavita, on January 8th you have to go to Benaras with my first tour group.
Why did you leave me out of this? I'm not very good with people.
Take this as your wifely duty. Anyway, you don't have to do anything. Just take care of money and day-to-day accounts.
But what about my teaching?
You are not teaching at Harvard. Slum children can do without their teacher for 1 week. And when you get back, you can give them a first-hand account about Benaras. And by the way, the professor of philosophy used to talk about has won some prize. I read it in the newspaper.
I know. I read about it.
Prize money is a joke. It is what I earn in 2 months.
That means professor's prize is what I will earn in next 20 years. Madam, where I can learn philosophy?
यात्रीगण कृपया ध्यान दें। गाड़ी संख्या 22345 दिल्ली कलकत्ता एक्सप्रेस प्लेटफॉर्म नंबर 4 पर आ रही है। यात्रियों से अनुरोध है कि अपने सामान का ध्यान रखें और किसी लावारिस वस्तु को हाथ न लगाएं। May I have your attention please? Train number 22345 Delhi Calcutta Express is about to arrive on platform number 4. Passengers are requested to take care of their own belongings. Please do not touch any unclaimed or unattended object on the platform.
Hey, Bato, ये बच्चे, ताकि रे. Again, what? Good evening.
Oh, good evening.
Am I right in presuming that you are a tourist to Benaras?
You guessed right.
You are quite young. Are you traveling alone or with mother and father?
Oh, no, I'm not traveling alone. We're a large group of Americans and Europeans taking this wonderful tour, organized by Ganga Tours and Travels.
You are interested in Indian history.
I am. But even apart from history, India is such a wonderful country, full of lovely people. It gives one a sense of peace that one cannot find anywhere else, certainly not New York. I suppose I have come to India to discover myself.
Discover Mysore? You are interested in Tipu Sultan's life? No. Then I will wait. I will floating in it. No. The best way to go over there is to go to Bangalore and then take a bus.
What I meant to say is I want to find my soul. In America, you have your body, even your mind, but all too often we forget about the soul. They say you can always find your soul in Benaras.
Laugh. Why did you understand my pain? You two have never walked in shoes without soul. They charge so much for shoes these days, and the soul is the first thing to come out. First thing I'm going to look for in Benaras is this.
हाँ तो खरीद के ना और
Hello, Jenny from New York. In the West, people behave as the soul does not matter.
Arey, they're complete idiots, madam. Total nincompoop. I tell you, soul is the most important thing in life.
This is what I like about Indians. You realize this is really important in life.
Of course, a good soul is very important for smooth transportation through life.
Exactly. I was telling this gentleman.
Gosh, my name is Gosh.
Yes, I was telling Mr. Gosh that I'm going to Benaras to find my soul.
Well, I would not say that I am going to Benaras for the sole purpose of finding a soul. But that is the first thing I'm going to buy as soon as I reach Benaras.
Excuse me, you will buy a soul?
Of course. Some mochi will give it to you for free as well. In that case, I will tell you not to trust the quality of it shotgun.
कमाल कर दिया। एक तो आत्मा के बारे में बात कर रही और एक जूते के।
Thank God I finally found one of us. This is the most mismanaged tour I've ever been on. Where are the others?
I don't know. But let's sit here for the moment. We're in a compartment with the most lovely set of people. This is Mr. Gosh.
Gosh.
Mr. Treehand. And this is, I presume, Mrs. Treehand.
And hi, my name is Gautam. Gautam is my neighbor's son, and I am his guardian to this trip to Kolkata.
Hi, Gautam.
Beautiful weather, don't you think?
Rather, I should say some finest weather, sir.
Hardly any clouds about. You rarely get such weather in England.
You are 100% right, sir.
Cool, but not quite cold.
Sir, you seem to be taking a lot of interest in Indian weather. Are you working for some weather forecasting department?
No. I work for an investment bank.
You know, even I used to think the same way. Before I went to England, over there I learned that the English people take a lot of interest in the weather.
Here you are, number 5 and number 6. Finally, all got $10 on the train.
He said that all those taking the tour with you would be together. Where are the others?
Sir, please to understand, train is very full of passengers. They often get separated.
I do not remember the condition that we would be together, only if the train was not full.
Sir, in Benaras we will all be together. Now let me say, welcome to the tour. Next 7 days, you will be guests of Ganga Tours and Travels. You will visit the ancient cities of Benaras and Allahabad.
Which is the older of the two?
Older? Oh, older?
Well, I was wondering between Benaras and Allahabad, which is the older city?
Oh, Valor City. The Allahabad is the 39th
I think what he means to say is that Benaras is the older city.
Please to make yourself comfortable. I have spoken to other travelers. I will see you later.
सज्जनों, हमें खेद है कि कुछ मजबूरी के कारण हमारा दिल्ली कलकत्ता एक्सप्रेस अपने निश्चित समय से लगभग 30 मिनट देरी से चल रहा है। इस वक्त हम इटावा स्टेशन से गुजर रहे हैं। Ladies and gentlemen, due to some unavoidable reason, our Delhi Calcutta Express is running 30 minutes late. At this time, we are passing Ittawa station. Thank you.
I never go for any long distance journey without this. What is it, uncle? This was given to me by British Airways when I went to Toronto for a meeting. You know, God has made our eyelids very thin, and the British people always try to improve on what God has done. They produce this. Really, this is very good for sleeping or relaxing.
Can I try it on, please?
Wait, I'll give you another one. Kolkata, London, Toronto. You know, I'm very lucky that British Airways does not fly non-stop from Kolkata to Toronto.
अंकल एक और है
क्या लो? चुप करो बॉस. अच्छा, if anyone of you is getting disturbed by the noise of the train, you can use these earplugs.
Where did you get these, uncle?
British Airways. Now I will ask you a hard question.
Sir, which is the older city, Benaras or Calcutta?
Benaras.
Thank you, sir.
My question is harder than that. Tell me the name of India's national bard. I know the answer. I know. It's Rabindranath Tagore. Wrong. Wait. Don't tell me. I know the answer.
Cafe Azmi?
What? What did she say?
She said Cafe Azmi.
No. Wrong again. Just because he can write good poetry does not mean he can fly.
अरे you keep quiet.
Arey Nana, you must not stop her. You know, nowadays ladies are doing very well in GK. What is Mrs. Trial's second guess?
She said Thiru what?
Thiruvalluvar.
Wrong again. I think the right answer is peacock. Congratulations, Nana! You got it back right. You must be a great philosopher.
But I don't understand. How is it peacock?
Sir, are we going east from Delhi or west?
Dude, does he think that the train is going to Pakistan?
Hey, madam, don't waste my time.
We are going east. But why don't you let me or Mrs. Trehan do your job?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And then one day, a real wolf came. And the boys started shouting, "Wolf! Wolf!" But this time, no one came. Because the village thought he was bluffing again. And the wolf killed the boy. So, you must never bluff.
Yes, I heard that story many years ago.
Okay, let me tell you another version of this story.
Now I shall read your hand. But for that you need to tell me your happy birthday.
Thank
Oh, Dada!
for mercies.
Please be civilized. This should not be thrown here. It should be thrown outside the window. बदतमीज लोग.
अल्लाह के नाम पे कुछ दे दे बाबा, अल्लाह के नाम पे कुछ दे दे बाबा, अल्लाह के नाम पे कुछ तो दे दे बाबा, अल्लाह के नाम पे कुछ तो दे दे बाबा.
चलो यहाँ से. कुछ नहीं हमारे पास.
कुछ तो दे दे बाबा, अल्लाह के नाम पे कुछ तो दे दे बाबा.
God knows I've seen more beggars in this trip than I've seen in my entire life. We shouldn't encourage them and give them more money. If I were you, I wouldn't give them any money at all.
If you were me, you'd give you money.
But you saw me. I did not.
That's because you are you. If you were me, you'd do exactly as I did, which is give the money. One animal that I like the most is the sambar.
Oh, Mr. Ghosh,
You know sambar?
I feel exactly the same way. I love all animals, but the sambar is really special. It's such a beautiful animal, but with sad eyes. I think hunting should be banned.
You know, Gautam, all humans are the same. We should love all humans equally. Hindu, Muslims, Christians. Oh yes, even Bentley. It's just he's not used to Indian weather right now. Once he gets used to Indian weather, he'll be much better person. Now see the best example. Me and Mrs. Trehan, we are from North India. We are liking South Indian people still. We like South Indian food as well. I am not even afraid to say that I like South Indian food more than North Indian food. I like sambar more than dal.
You know, I also like spotted deer and bison.
I do too, but the sambar is really special.
Arey ba, I am staying in North India and liking sambar. She's from North America and she's liking sambar.
I sure do. With its brown, beige color, it looks so lovely.
Of course, color is beautiful. But the best part that it is full of protein. Of course, you can find sambar anywhere these days. There are Udupi restaurants everywhere. They told me there are Udupi restaurants in Washington. You can find sambar in Washington.
कमाल कर दिया, एक तो जानवर के बारे में बात कर रही और एक
टिकट
Can you tell me why this train is running 2 hours late?
No, this train normally runs 3 hours late. I cannot explain why it is running.
That's extremely funny. Surely someone knows why this train is running late.
For a satisfactory answer, you must know Indian history and sociology.
And why was Zulaji? Possible that some poor animal might have come in between the tracks and slowed down the train?
Traveling with you, why leave out psychology?
You sir are in the wrong seat. Your seat is in the next compartment in 8C. Please go because someone will be coming here. Thank you.
But you know, I agree with Bentley. Many a times, the train had to stop for no reason. And a few moments ago, it was so calm, with everyone sleeping, that I thought the whole world has come to a halt.
But you know, Ghosh, if everything came to a halt, we would never be traveling again.
Arey, he doesn't mean to say everything permanently stopped. He means to say everything stopped and then restarted.
But I think Mrs. Trehan's unease about the possibility of the world restarting after a total halt is not unfounded. If everything was to come to a halt, it is not clear things could restart again.
No, Professor Chatterjee, I think you're maligning the Indian railway drivers unnecessarily. Just because it's a short break does not mean they will never wake up again.
Same thing. I sleep every night but wake up every morning.
But that's because there are little processes still going on inside of you. What if everything was to come to a halt?
Ram.
But that's alright. We don't need to worry. All of us are hale and hearty. By the way, I must really take your leave. It's been a really interesting conversation, but I have to go.
Why don't you leave Calcutta and join us for the Benaras trip?
That's a very kind offer, Jenny, but I'm not a free man.
Arey, come to Benaras with us. My nephew has a big bungalow over there. You can stay there with us.
Be a sport, be adventurous. Change your plan. I've done it so many times, you know. I set out for one place, I end up in another. Is this because of the lecture that you have to give in Calcutta?
I'd happily give that lecture, miss. It's just there's this another British professor who couldn't attend the conference and he gave me his paper to read out. So it wouldn't really be nice if I didn't do that.
Okay, so if you have to leave, then give us one more philosophical puzzle for that.
Yes,
It's really good for thought.
You know, in British Airways, the British people were giving little children small puzzle solving books. I'm telling you, these British people know how to awaken your minds.
Alright, fine, I'll give you another last philosophy puzzle. Okay, does anyone have two pieces of string, say this big?
I have. British Airways, uncle? No, auntie.
Oh, it is so funny. Now he's calling the little boy auntie.
Okay, so this trick is a partly physical trick and it's called the Indian rope trick. And I need 2 volunteers for this. Mr. Ghosh, brilliant. Mr. Bentley, why don't you join us as well?
Why don't you leave me out of this?
Come on, Mr. Bentley, be a sport.
Bentley, it won't harm you.
So as I said, the Indian rope trick is supposed to bring foreigners and Indians closer together to each other. You see, these two people are now tied quite securely by these 2 pieces of strings and 4 knots. And perhaps the only way for them to get out of this is to open one of these knots. But that is precisely what they must do. Get out of this without opening a knot. You have around 3 minutes.
Can we cut the string?
Very good question. No, so get on with it.
Great, Bentley. I know how to do this.
I think I'll climb this chair and come from above. Perhaps that will solve it.
But if climbing the chair was necessary, then this puzzle could only be solved in Indian trains.
Probably the puzzle can only be solved in Indian trains. But the Socrates has never been on Indian train.
I should tell you, Socrates has nothing to do with this puzzle. Excepting you might require a form of Socratic contemplation.
Wait, Bentley, both of you just stand still.
That's extraordinary. How do you do it?
Arey, that's very easy. In India, we have this goddess called Chamundi. She has 4 hands, 3 eyes, and power to take everyone out of tricky situations. My wife constantly prays to her, so whenever she is in tricky situation, Chamundi helps her
And now I must really take your leave, otherwise I'll incur the wrath of the Indian Railways. I suggest you play the puzzle again. Just disqualify Mrs. Trehan and Goddess Chamundi from helping you out. It's by the order of the Indian Railways.
I do know the problem. Make yourself comfortable. It is so rare to find a compartment in an Indian train with so few people, isn't it?
That is true. This room is like a Buddhist meditation room in comparison to that cable. That one was like a juvenile detention center. But it was fun.
I was enjoying the conversation as well. What little I could hear.
And what was the most interesting thing you heard?
Well, I couldn't really hear that much. But I did like that part about whether if everything came to a halt, things could restart. Now that's an interesting question.
And did you agree with me?
I couldn't really hear that much.
I felt, no, things could not restart.
I guess I agree. Though I don't quite know why.
I haven't thought this through well enough to know the answer myself. But think of it this way. If everything was to come to a halt, the atoms, molecules, Earth, you and me, doesn't it seem natural that things would not restart? One way to reason this would be that anything that happens at any point of time is caused by what happens just before it. So therefore, once there is no motion, there cannot be any motion. But what I really wonder is this. Are we arriving at this fact purely out of deduction? Or is it just a fact of life? That motion cannot arise out of motionlessness.
The fact that you come to this conclusion without ever having experienced the stoppage of everything suggests, doesn't it, that you come to this conclusion by deduction.
I'm sorry to inflict this trivia upon you, but are you a philosopher?
No. But I was taught philosophy. In fact, by you, at NLU.
Really?
Yes, you taught us epistemology.
Oh, you were a part of that crazily large epistemology class. What batch is this?
Around 10 years ago.
And your name is?
Kavita Sharma. But that time I was
Kavita Puri.
Exactly. Professor Chatterjee. I can't believe you remember me.
If it wasn't for the low voltage lighting, I would have recognized you much sooner.
That is impressive.
That's not really impressive. I never forget pretty faces. Besides, I was charmed by you.
You certainly gave no evidence of that.
I see you took your Gilbert Ryle very seriously. Emotions don't have to be hung from balconies.
Yes, but some little evidence, no?
I was your teacher. How could I? And I remember you because you looked puzzled, troubled when I taught philosophy. Just like every good student ought to be.
Wow, thank you so much for clarifying that. Nobody should be under any misconception here.
There can be two reasons for remembering someone.
Yes, there can be, but I doubt there were. But in our case, the majority of us, your students, were definitely in love with you.
Now you tell me this. With a ring on your finger and a bindi on your forehead, you should have told me that much earlier. I'd been a happier man. But wait, you can't be telling the truth. Half of that class was boys.
Well, since certainly all the girls were in love with you, even if one boy was in love with you, that would make it a majority. And in such a large class, I'm sure that at least one boy was in love with you.
But you really should have told me this earlier.
About the boy who was in love with you. But you definitely found me charming. I could have really done with that confidence booster.
I didn't want to make you feel uncomfortable.
How come you don't mind making lone female train travelers feel uncomfortable?
My God, this is like a conversation with Sherlock Holmes. By the way, I just remembered, you're quite an all-rounder at the university. You played basketball?
Wow, that was such a long time ago. Oh, by the way, Professor Chatterjee, congratulations about the prize I mean. You must be very happy.
Thank you. I was pleased, but not as much as most people thought I'd be. You appreciate philosophy, so you'd understand. One doesn't do philosophy to get something out of it, to be recognized by people in no position to recognize. One does it because it involves logic. So beautiful, so arresting. One simply cannot get away from it. And it's also a nice way to get away from reality.
You need to. And gradually, one gets used to it. So Siddharth, wait, are you sure?
Absolutely.
Well, it does sound nice. So Siddharth, it has not been that bad, at least no longer. The last year, with the involvement in the school, it has in fact been quite nice.
Don't overdo it now.
I will, Siddharth. Now that you've given me permission, it is my prerogative.
But you know, Kavita, it doesn't fit in. You giving in to your parents and marrying a person, well, pardon me for saying this, whose only purpose in life seems to be to make money. It doesn't quite fit in with what little I know of you.
You're getting my parents wrong. They really love me.
I knew you'd resist this. Once we have chosen a course of life for oneself, we really do not want to admit to the unpalatable aspects of it. But, like I said, Kavita, that it seems there is a piece of missing information. Why did you choose this life for yourself? A life where you're such a non-entity. Well, not are such a non-entity. At one level, we are all non-entities. But at least a life in which you're treated as one.
Well, it's not so difficult. I am a very resilient woman. Did you know tomorrow is Simone de Beauvoir's birthday?
What a nerd you are! Imagine knowing Simone de Beauvoir's birthday. Is it actually her birthday? Or are you relying on the certainty of my ignorance?
No, I know it's her birthday because it's mine as well. In my weaker moments, I try to learn from her, to be strong like her. But it is difficult. On those dreadful days that I was telling you about, I would repeatedly remind myself what philosophers tell us about the insignificance of man in relation to the universe.
Bertrand Russell called it the cosmic insignificance of man. Russell got it all wrong. But please continue. I'll tell you that later.
In fact, in my lowest moments, I would make it a point to sit onto the terrace late into the nights and look at the stars. With most of the city lights having gone off by then, the sky would be studded with stars twinkling. Literally twinkling the way fairy tales tell you they do. I would think of the enormous size of the stars, the great distances between the stars of our galaxies as well as others, and I would feel infinitely small, insignificant, and for that very reason, extremely peaceful.
How interesting. I used to do something very similar, but then stopped working for me.
Why? What happened?
You see, one day after contemplating upon the cosmic insignificance of man, I was walking back to my room. and I saw this tiny trail of ants. And suddenly, I began to feel huge, gigantic even. And at that moment, I realized there is no end to the claim of largeness or smallness. You see, you can get lost in a labyrinthine endlessness inside a single atom. That's when I realized the claim is quite meaningless. Do I make sense to you?
Not only do you make sense, but I must thank you for having destroyed the one talisman I had. And I don't think it was just infatuation. I really was in love with you.
Well, thank you. You should have told me this earlier. Okay, Kaushik. I have a great suggestion. Run away with me to Calcutta. Just hide in the train once we reach Benaras.
I really shouldn't have said so much and put you in a tight spot. But anyway, you have nothing to worry about. I'm sure my beauty and my ring are a source of great comfort to you.
I'm serious, Kavita. Let's go to Calcutta. Just hide.
I think it's getting late. Maybe you should sleep. I wonder when we're reaching Benaras.
I mean it, Kavita. Please, let's just go. Run away with me.
Are you off your head, Siddharth? What about all these tourists? Am I supposed to leave them with Lakshu?
Yes, why not? They'll have a memorable, unforgettable trip.
You crazy, Siddharth. You hardly even know me.
But I knew you so many years ago.
But you don't know the person I am now. And what about after Calcutta? I'll just be left to fend for myself.
No, we'll live together.
I thought you didn't believe in the institution of traditional marriage.
We don't have to marry. And even if we do, ours will not be traditional marriage, considering you're already married. But if it was not clear from my lectures, I'm against the institution of marriage. I believe society would be much better off without it. But if everyone has to marry, then I don't see a compelling reason why a couple of people can't. Don't tell me you're wedded to the middle class value of once wedded forever.
I'm not. But I have a feeling you don't know what you're trying to commit yourself to.
I'm talking in riddles, Kavita. I don't understand riddles. Please, run away with me to Calcutta.
I'd love to. I'd love to throw everything aside, every little thing I own, and come away with you, wherever you take me.
And we'll just vanish in the milling crowds of Calcutta. We'll take up a house in the old quarter, in a sultry by-lane where balconies rub shoulders with balconies.
And live in an old house with tinted windows and wrought iron grills. Maybe live in a neighborhood with so many people that it would be easy to vanish. To go shopping in that local fish market where all the Bengalis go and get fresh fish and not be noticed. To be just those two people who came from nowhere with absolutely no history. But I can't, Siddharth. I don't even know whether you want to. I'm really scared.
If I wasn't saddled with this damn lecture by the blessed British professor, I would have gotten off at Benaras. But I can't do this to him.
I think I need to be excused. Can you please do me a favor?
Yeah.
Just grab me my stick from under the chair, will you?
What happened? Did you get hurt?
It happened the year I left college, around 9 years and 2 months ago. There was an accident, a DTC bus. I'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, our Delhi-Calcutta Express is about to reach Benaras station. In the night, our driver drove the train very fast, above the safety speed limit set by the Japanese expert. We are therefore lucky to have arrived in Benaras with only 1 hour delay. The train will stop here for 45 minutes. Passengers getting down here, kindly make sure to take your belongings. Otherwise, other people are taking them.
Chips, biscuit, cake, kurkure. Chips, biscuit, cake, kurkure. Chips, biscuit, cake, kurkure.
What a pleasant surprise! What are you doing here?
I came to see you only.
You came all the way to the station to see me.
I told you, I stay only 5 minutes from the station.
Okay, but you really have to stop buying garlands for me every time you see me, alright?
You are going for such an important lecture. I am thinking Mala is fully deserving.
Okay, Gupta, tell me this. Can you read a philosophy paper?
I would love to read whatever you write, sir. But I don't think I will understand anything.
Understanding is not important. And I don't want you to read the paper for yourself. I want you to read it in front of an audience. In a conference in Calcutta.
But sir, I am not going to Calcutta.
I know you're not going to Calcutta, but my question is this. Can you go to Calcutta? Can you take my ticket, take my place on this train, go to Calcutta and deliver that lecture?
But sir, won't the conference people object?
No, I'll write a letter saying I'm ill and you're coming in my behalf. Okay, come quickly. Go back home, grab all of this stuff, take this paper, come back and sit on the seat and go to Calcutta, alright? Wait, come back, come back. If you're going, you might as well leave this.
Please be patient. Any man will be here to take us to hotel.
We don't mind waiting, but in the meanwhile, why don't you tell us something about this city?
What?
Remember, you told us that in the tour, you'd tell us about each city we visited.
Oh, what are you talking about?
That's true. Remember in Delhi, Mr. Bendy's talking about that. You were going to tell us about each city we visited? Who started telling us?
History!
Yes.
Benaras history! Benaras is Benaras city, very Benaras city. Then Jaipur is Benaras history, Jaipur, Agra, Patna, Agra, Benaras history.
Professor Chatterjee, what a lovely surprise.
Okay, Benaras is one of the oldest cities in India. Actually, even the world. It has been inhabited continuously since 6th century BC. And the Buddha delivered a famous lecture right outside the city, at Sharma. In 6th century AD, the famous Chinese traveler Yun Sang also came to the city. Actually, in those days, the interaction between India and China was much more friendly, considering it was based on an exchange of culture and literature rather than commerce and dominance. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I am so sorry I will not be able to continue onwards with you to this journey of Benaras. Well, for many reasons, and the primary amongst them being, I have already told you the sum total of everything I know about Benaras. Well, there is no getting around the fact that you've been cheated by Mr. Sharma of GATT, and you're going to lose his money to him. But that's alright, people have been duped before. Entire civilizations have fallen to the greed and expansionism of others. But while you may be slightly sad that you have lost a little bit of your money to Mr. Sharma, you'll be very happy to know that he's about to lose his wife to me.
Good evening. I hope that was a very big round of applause for the delightful performance once again. The cast is right here in as Siddharth Chatterjee, Vasundhara as Melba, Arpit as Professor Chaudhary, Pallavi as June Chaudhary, Hardik as the VC, Manal as Suresh Gupta, Ananya as Sharma, Umakant as Lakshu, Ayushi as Madhu, Padma as Kavita, Siddharth Barua as Ghosh, Tanay as Gautam, Sanjana as Jenny, Akshay as Trehan, Anukriti as Mrs. Trehan, Pundrikaksh as Bentley, Pratyush as the beggar, and Harshit as the ticket checker. There's a huge team that works behind the performance of this magnitude. So I will just quickly go through the team for you. On lights and sound we have Rakesh and Janvi and Ishan. We have Akan, Akshat, Harshit, Ishan Patnaik, Ishan Jain, Nidhi and Pratyush as assisting the direction. We would thank our Vice Chancellor Professor Ranveer Singh and our Registrar Professor G.S. Bajpai for their unrelenting support. A very big applause of gratitude to Swarupa ma'am for teaching, training them, putting all of this together, and her team, Himang sir, Rupangi and Ashima. Thank you so much. We thank Shivain, our faculty members and alumni for joining us on this special evening. We thank Anindya for the photography. Hemant, Amritanshu, Kevi, Vaishali, Ronak, Rishika, Pranav, and all of the NLU Delhi family for being here today to support us. Thank you so much. And everyone else, apologies if I've missed out anyone. With that, I would thank the person without whom this entire venture wouldn't have been possible, Mr. Kaushik Basu. Sir, if I could invite you on stage. Thank you so much, and I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you very much. It was just such a pleasure watching this. I feel, though I've written it, I feel quite tongue-tied. This is, for me, the only time I've had this kind of an experience, given that I spend my life in economics, seldom in activity of this kind. I'm also feeling slightly guilty that I've kept you people away from your legal studies, must be for lots of hours, to be able to produce this. How do you want me to do this? I can say a few things for a couple of minutes and then take questions and answers, or what's the plan? Harshit, what should I do? But you all shouldn't stand like this in that case. So maybe no, why don't you all sit or as you wish. I'll just say a few things or stay here. Feel free to stay here. Yeah, it's your choice. Let me just say a few things. You can see I'm fumbling. Let me just tell you but I would love to see also if you all stay or sit here over here, we can maybe participate in some discussion. Just to briefly tell you that I wrote this play in bits and pieces over a long time. I would keep notes and then did the bulk of the work when I got a visiting position in Bangalore in the year 2001. I worked on this. In fact, I felt quite guilty because I had been invited to work on economics, and I spent a disproportionate amount of time working on this play. That summer, it was one of my most pleasant summers because I would spend long stretches of time writing this and laughing over some parts the activity of doing so. In fact, I remember one day the director of the institute came into my office and he could see little bits of scribblings on paper, Ganga Travel and Tours, WTO, etc. And I had thought if he directly asked me what I was doing, I would say I'm working on transport economics. That summer was the summer of delight. The play was written, and I never really thought of it as a play that would be performed. For me, it was a joy writing it. It came out in the Little magazine, and I had more or less left it at that. There was once a drawing room reading of it in Bhaskar Ghosh's apartment, and that was that. So when Harshit wrote to me and said that you people were planning to produce this play, I was really very, very thrilled about it. I also have to say that the cause for which you were raising funds for this IDIA, I hope I'm getting the acronym right, for inclusion, drawing people in, is also very close to my heart. So thank you very much, the NLU students and to IDIA for doing this. Thank you very much, yes. A few more words. My interest in the theatre, it's a great activity. For me, it's of course a side interest. The first encounter with the theatre was very strangely Tennessee Williams's Glass Menagerie being done on the radio in Bengali. As a small kid, I had heard it and had absolutely loved the play. Subsequently, two very big influences were Tennessee Williams himself and Tom Stoppard reading their plays. I would prefer to read Stoppard's plays to watch them because it's so quick, Stoppard's dialogue, and I'm not quick enough for that. So watching means things fly by too fast. Reading means I would get it in fully. So at some point the bug got me that I would love to write a play. And a play has one advantage over writing a fiction or a novel, full novel, is that in a play, all your mistakes in English passes off as mistakes in the speaker's English. So if it is not perfect, which mine is not, theatre is the perfect way to write because it's someone who's saying that, so you can get away with that. With my world of economics, I should say a little bit of connection. Economics is all about logic, mathematics, big data, that's what you're doing. But language also has a connection, and if you pay attention, some very interesting links between facts and languages. I'm going to give you just one example. I've been working with very prominent game theorist on punctuality. Why some groups of people are punctual, some other groups are less punctual. And we came across this wonderful study of Latin America and North America. Latin America is much less punctual, and these sociologists had done a study about watches in Latin America. What they did is at 8:30, you go and see how well the watches are coordinated among people. I think it was done in Brazil, it's a published paper. Watches are not too well coordinated in Brazil compared to the United States. So at 8:30, someone's watch will say 8:25, someone will say 8:35, etc. Whereas in the US, it will say 8:30, 8:31, 8:29. It's a closer cluster. Get it? Now, I was very curious working with this co-author of mine, a Swedish game theorist, to find out whether in India, watches are as well coordinated as in North America or like in South America, poorly coordinated. You know, you have to think of some 15, 20 years ago, if you are carrying phones which are, of course, automatically get time adjusted, this won't happen. I could not find a big data set on times in India, watches. But there was one sentence uttered by one man, gave me the full answer to whether watches are well coordinated or not. While I was doing this research, I arrived in Delhi, at Delhi airport, and a gentleman walked up to me and asked for the time, using a phraseology which is a very typical Indian way of asking the question. He said, "Excuse me, sir, can you tell me the time by your watch?" That is a giveaway that you expect that time to have some dependence on the watch that you're referring to. So the language was actually capturing masses of data, just the construction of that sentence. Anthropologists pay attention to that, economists typically don't, but there is this connection. So It's far away from the world that I inhabit. At the same time, if you pay attention, that there are closenesses. In writing this play, my sort of, as the brochure said, it is a play about nothing in particular, but I do have a lot of interest in philosophy. I wanted to feed that in some discussion so that one is forced to think. I am interested in the general humanity of inclusion and people being together, so try to weave that in a little bit. But really, apart from that, it is meant to be a farce just to sit back and enjoy. And I have to say, I was just loving every bit of it. For me, though, of course, the lines, I knew the lines that were coming, but not about the writing, but about the production, about the acting. It was just sheer delight for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Guys, can you please have a round of applause for sir again? I must mention that this has actually, it's been fruitful through a long exercise of persistence. We've actually been communicating for over a year just to get this happening. So I'm extremely grateful to sir and for all the people that you've got today and to make this event something worth showing. And I'd also like to say, guys, please, we've done this only for IDI and to raise funds for them. IDI is basically a way in which we get people from disadvantaged communities and prepare them for law and for the law entrance exams. All of them, be it CLAT, be it IELTS, be it the other LSAT, and so many other exams that are there. And it is a very meaningful initiative. We really want this to go ahead because, we all know that law schools are islands of excellence. We really don't have as much. We only have 80 students in every law school. We can't really do service to the cause of law and justice. So, I would actually urge you again to donate some amount to IDI, and that will actually mean a lot to us. Thank you so much.
I want to second this and say one more thing, that initially when I was coming, I've got a largish segment of the audience over here. I was worried whether there would be people to watch this. So I brought my wife, daughter, son-in-law, a whole bunch of people, including my mother-in-law over here sitting in the audience.
Thank you everyone. There's tea outside, please help yourselves to some tea. Thank you.